Good morning, Smarties. Welcome to the Carrie Show here at BankSmart Studio. Today is Thursday, February 26th, and it's a little after 10 a.m. How's everyone doing this morning? I am doing wonderful. I'm thinking about, should I switch over to Facebook and post that we're live? I think I should. I have to have 100 followers or more on the BankSmart Studio page in order for StreamYard to kick it over there. We don't quite have that yet. So in the meantime, I'm going to double post, which in banking you never want to do. Never want to double post. But we're going to do that so we can let everyone know that we're live. And then eventually, if everyone wants to follow BankSmart Studio on the Facebook, maybe we will get enough to be able to automatically post over there. There is an option to automatically post over on Twitter too, but you have to have Twitter, the premium, X premium, whatever. I'm not like in the era of where I want to pay for that. I remember so hard that I wanted to get that blue check mark back when I was like super active on Twitter, and I applied for it so many times, so many times. And there was like a criteria at the time where you had to show that there was like a website about you, some publications. And I do feel like I had quite a few publications that talked about me and my thought leadership. And I did have a website, and I actually got the URL CarrieAnneCormier.com in the hopes that that would help. Yeah, it didn't. They never verified me, which was a little sad. But that's okay. Now you can pay to be verified. And now that it's cool, I don't want to do it. It's too accessible. I want to be more exclusive. I don't want to pay. I don't even know how much it is, but like, watch me like next week change my mind and say, okay, I want to finally pay for it. Well, I'm not doing that right now. All right, we're just going to post manually. All right. Good morning. We're live over in the studio. Yay. Just making sure I post the right link, because when I'm rushing, I might not post the right link. Don't you hate that? Like, it's like, what do you say? Measure twice, cut once. Like, review the link twice, post once. You don't want to be that person. Don't. Never, never, never. All right. We're just going to do this. Boop, boop, boop. Left. How's everyone doing? Good morning. My name's CarrieAnne Cormier. I'm the host here at the Carrie Show here on BankSmart Studios. I am a financial services executive by trade. Most days I feel like a digital banking girl in a passbook savings world. But I really wouldn't have it any other way. I'm a social media and marketing nerd at heart. And a lot of the content and ideas that I bring to both this studio and my previous roles have always been through the mindset of marketing and branding. It's just something I can't turn off. And I feel like we should do a whole video on that one day about how I got my start at like the ripe old age of 5 in the marketing world. But that's for another day, people. That's for another day. We have a really exciting, I'm going to say exciting. If you're from the Boston area and you ever listen to Maddie in the morning, he would always say, never say I have a funny story, because that just immediately means it's not funny. So never say you have an exciting show, because it automatically means it's not exciting. Everyone be sure to throw in where you're coming from. If there's a bank or credit union you represent, what your experience is. I'd love to know kind of what area of the country people are tuning in from here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps keep the studio running, and I so appreciate it. I'm going to start with a little story about a young BankSmartCarrie. And I think I told you all that I started my career in about 2005 in banking, kind of just fell into it, never set out like most of us to be a career banker. And about a year later, so living with my husband, young, really not so attuned to money, even though like you work in banking, people just assume that you understand and you know money and you have it all figured out, right? Because you're like taking care of other people's money and you're supposed to be really good. Well, I had found myself in like a bunch of debt and trying to just pay things, because you're making like 10.50 an hour and trying to like survive a whole household on that. It really, the math doesn't math. Although I think I am really lucky because I'll say kids today have it much worse, trying to pay for everything. But, at the age of like 22, I remember sitting at my CSR desk at my bank. You have a little downtime and you're thinking about just other things, not banking. And I remember thinking like, how am I going to pay whatever this week? And like I had maxed out my credit cards, and that's probably a whole nother story. Because if your last line of defense is a payday loan, if that's not even your first option. But I remember like searching payday loans and like, how could I get just $200 or $500 to just get me through until my next paycheck? And being on the CSR side, you help so many customers and members of different walks of life. And I remember seeing, different clientele. We were in a very blue collar town, and different clientele that would get caught in the payday lender trap. And, there was like, I'm just going to make up a number, like 50% interest, right? So even if they borrowed $200, they're having so much more taken out. And it was always on the lender's terms. So whatever scrupulous payday lender they used, they were the ones that were calling the shot and automatically taking it out of an account, and you had to agree to a certain cadence of payments. And I just remember people being so much more negative in their account because they had engaged in these payday lenders. And if you can't afford it this week to make whatever payment you need to make, who's to say you're going to be able to afford it spread across 4 weeks? I mean, that's just silly thinking, but it goes to the last resort and desperation that a lot of us are in at these times. And I remember sitting there and I'm like searching for payday lenders, and I'm like starting to fill out my information just to get like a $200 or $500 advance. And like, oh my gosh, it'll make such a difference. I need gas in my car, all this. And I never hit the button. And I think that was like one of my rock bottom financial moments, was feeling that, because I knew it was wrong and I knew it was going to get me into more financial trouble. And I had seen the effects of it within my own organization and the customers that I helped every day, and how it was so detrimental to them. But I was there and at a point of desperation that I felt that that's all I could do. And maybe my car insurance was getting canceled and I didn't have a last resort, but I remember not pushing the button, and I'm so thankful I didn't, because that would have probably been a tipping point for me, where some of these financial decisions you just can't bounce back from. And there's some interesting news this week, in the last couple weeks, in the micro lending space, that we're going to talk about, that really helps to hit this spot. And outside of that, I've been dabbling recently in the Klarna world. um, when you check out, there's different ways to pay in full. I tested out Klarna just to see how it works, and we could do a whole nother video on that, because I find it very interesting, and I'm not sure it's any better than a payday loan. I mean, it is. There are definitely benefits. There's definitely more of a credit worthiness. You can't just it's not just a last resort kind of thing. But the couple times I've tried it, I found myself having more difficulty managing the payment schedule, where you have to really be structured in order to know when the repayments are coming. And for someone like with my mindset and like I don't know if it's like scatterbrained, if it's my stage of life with 3 small kids, but like managing when money's coming out of my account, it's difficult. So if I only have a fewer amount of payments, even if they're larger dollar amounts. It makes it so much easier for me. So I'd love to do I'm going to write that down. We'll do a video on like Afterpay and Klarna. Hold on. Aren't you proud of me? I remembered to mute the mic this time, so you didn't have to hear it. I cannot promise that will happen the rest of the show. That was just pure luck. Afterpay. So we're going to start with a little information. So what caught my eye is Upstart. So if you're all familiar with Upstart, we'll start from the consumer side. You probably get the financial offers in the mail, typically around consumer loans, like, hey, you can get an unsecured loan for, $10,000, $20,000, whatever. Hold on, I'm going to cough again. This is really annoying. Oh, I don't think that muted it. I'm sorry, people. I was trying the mute on my mic. Oh, work. You had to hear that. So I have an old 1910 Colonial, and I have radiator, like the steam heat. And I do have a window open to try to get some like fresh air, but it's really dry. So like you're just gonna have to bear with that. Sorry. Okay, so Upstart, you probably get the mailers. They bill themselves as a leading AI lending marketplace. On the back end for financial services peeps, you can sign up to be an Upstart lender and, give them your lending qualifications, what tier credit you want, your risk profile. Do you want just A paper, B paper, etc., which is like credit score worthiness. And you can be one of the lenders behind Upstart. So they take lenders from all over the US, and the lenders then power the money, but you don't actually know. Okay. I left the video up in the hopes that BankSmart Trixie over here, my dog, would come say hi. I don't know if she did or not. Okay. I have a cough drop. So now you have to hear me clicking it in my teeth the whole time. Sorry. Okay, cool. Oh, ran up the stairs. That was a stretch. We didn't need that kind of cardio this morning. Okay. So we were talking about Upstart. Backing up a little bit. So different banks and credit unions can be part of the Upstart network. And as a consumer, you don't actually know that you're getting a loan through X, Y, and Z bank. It just comes through Upstart because they're the Fintech that's powering this. So, they just announced last week. Hold on. Thank you to my 3 viewers for hanging on. I really appreciate it. I when I worked in corporate, I had the best admin coordinator, and she would hear me coughing because there was something about the building that must have been allergic to. And when I started at this place, I had this nonstop cough. Went to my doctor, trying to figure out what it was, seasonal allergies, whatever. Side note, it left when I left there, but she would hear me coughing and she would text me like, take your inhaler. So in my head, as I was coughing, I heard her say, why don't you use your inhaler? So thank you, Stephanie. You're always in my head when I'm coughing. I appreciate you. Cool. So we'll take this a little slow. I talk too fast. So Upstart just announced that they are testing out microloans with a new product called Cashline, billing it as a revolutionary line of credit that gives consumers ongoing access to money as needed. I'm going to pull up the press release here because I think it's super cool, and we'll have a little bit more to talk about. But I really want to try, let's see, present, share screen, Upstart. Here we go. Oh, wait, I got to put it, this is what I forgot to do last time. I forgot to put it on the stage. So when I was talking about Jim and his LinkedIn post, I never added it to the stage, so you guys couldn't even see it. All right, so this is the release details about Upstart. Here we go. So they're building a one-stop shop for all flavors of credit where guaranteed best rates are available 24/7 in a matter of minutes. Cashline offers reliable access to money in the moments that matter the most. So here's some details about it. Guaranteed minimum of $200 for all approved consumers in the highest in the industry. Up to a $5,000 revolving line. Always on, so approved lines are never reduced once program requirements are met. Instant access, no fees, or for expedited access. That's huge. I wonder if that'll change as things evolve, because a lot of places add a fee for convenience. If you want to transfer your Venmo money to your bank account, 2 to 3 days, it's free. If you want it instantly, there's a percentage fee. This is saying that there's going to be no fee for expedited access, but you never know how this evolves. Customized repayment options and a rest mode that puts consumers in control. That's a really great feature. It helps you as you're trying to manage what's coming in and out of your account. Being able to pause or rest a payment, that's huge. It could also have a downfall where then people are, you know, expanding their payment window more and more and maybe getting themselves into a little more trouble. But again, these are approved credit based on the guidelines, so it depends on the worthiness. This really I like here. Simple, transparent pricing. So $10 for a monthly membership for lines up to $500. I love the membership model. And it's interesting because for so long, I don't know if I'll say for so long. Early on in my career, you know, bank accounts like checking had a monthly maintenance fee. And you still see that a lot at like larger institutions, maybe like a Bank of America or I don't know what else. I say TD because they're around here, but I don't know if everyone has one. Probably not. But so like the larger institutions, they still have monthly maintenance fees. However, some of them are waived based on balances or relationships or whatever. But we're in this like subscription world where literally like we all fall victim to subscription creep. And it's so easy to just subscribe for another membership, another podcast, another app, another service. And having a monthly membership fee for access to a line of credit is not wild at all. And I think that's like flipping the narrative on what a monthly fee is in financial services and bringing something of value. So if you're require me to pay a monthly maintenance fee for my checking account still, I'm sorry, but there are plenty of places that will happily take my money and not charge me a monthly maintenance fee. And on the flip side, you're not really providing me anything other than a place to store my money. Yes, some of them have higher interest rates, things like that. Maybe you get a free bank check because you're a Platinum Plus Premier Prestige Signature Gold member. That's old. That's gearing towards the golden time crew. That's not the wave of the future. That's not even the wave of the now. This talk about, you know, a monthly membership fee makes you feel like part of something and you're getting something in return. That access to that line of $500, huge. And then low APR on draws beyond $500. So I think that's so cool. Did I link the website? Oh yeah, let's go over to the website. Boop, boop, boop. This is so fun. So we're gonna hit remove here. And I'm gonna do, let's see, this, present. Present, share screen. And now I wanna do, here we go. Oh, that's the same thing. I thought I was gonna go to their website. Is that it? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's their website. So we're gonna go to their website. And now I gotta put that on the stage. Bum, 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 bum. I'm getting so good at this. You guys are so proud of me. Cool. So this is their website introducing Cashline. So you can join the wait list. They're doing a pilot right now. Cash you can count on again and again. Access to an always on line of credit that never goes up and down. Minimum of 200 once approved. Enjoy instant deposits, no extra cost. Love that. Look at how easy they make it. How much do you need? Boop, boop, boop. $5,000 coming soon. You're approved. Now, if you saw my video of me helping a younger friend of mine get access to a credit card after having some credit pitfalls, you'll understand how easy and important this kind of experience is for a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha. This just makes it so easy. You don't have to go into a branch. You don't have to deal with Troy, Trent, or Trevor and his pinky ring. You don't have to get the runaround on fair lending. This is just so easy, and you can do it from the convenience of your phone. And this is where the generation of now is going to be going for their lending. And it makes it so simple. And I wonder, so I'm just going to guess, right? So don't take this to be to fact when you bring it back to your financial institution. Do your own research. But I'm going to guess that this is the similar risk-based pricing and that they go with for their consumer loans. So they probably have a network of lenders that put in their risk profile and what kind of paper they're willing to write. And then they assign a lender based on that. I don't know if there's a floor. So if there are some that'll take like CD no score, or if you really have to be top tier credit for this, it doesn't really say. Of course, it's not going to really say, but it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, see here, it says right here, Upstart is not the lender for this product. All loans on Upstart's marketplace are made by regulated financial institutions. So it'll be interesting to see the risk tolerance for which ones lenders want to jump in on. Now, there's two flip sides. The one side is that this is a great way to diversify your lending as an organization. So you can, if you don't have the infrastructure in-house to have a lending program like this and do microloans, and maybe it being part of it offers you some CRA credit towards, Community Reinvestment Act, showing that you're helping certain census tracts, whatever, maybe. But it doesn't have your branding front and center. So the consumer doesn't know that you are the institution, and you're not able to like cross-sell and upsell these members, which is kind of like could be a great strategy for some that, just want to pay to be part of the network and get the return. But those that are trying to make themselves the primary financial institution, to be the hero of the member story, this might not be for them. So that's where something else very interesting came in this week. I'm going to pull this one down and we're going to go over to here. So another close to me, I think I have to cough again. Let's see if we can do it without coughing. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. So an institution near me, Metro Credit Union, they're a $3.2 billion organization based in Chelsea, Mass, which is like right outside of Boston. They partnered with a Fintech named Salus to launch an automated small dollar lending program designed to attract these younger members and demographics in serving those that are underbanked. And this is incredible. We're going to watch the video on this because I think it's so important. And then we'll kind of talk about what it does. So I looked up, we're going to throw this on stage. Stop screen. I looked up Salus. And let's see, share screen. And I hope this plays because this is so good. Add to stage. Okay, yeah, here we go. How do I? No, I don't want to get in touch. Maybe you do. I do not. Okay. Can you see this? Yeah. Perfect.
The first tool is the Salus platform for microloans. Now, a microloan is a loan of $50 to $400 paid back in equal monthly installments of 1 to 4 months in tenor. And how do we underwrite them? Well, we can take the data that you already have on your member, credit data, alternative data, most importantly, transaction data. We can take that data and turn it into a customizable automated risk score. That score is customizable to the risk tolerance of your credit union and comes fully explainable with adverse action notices in case the member doesn't get approved for that microloan. So how does it work? Well, when we integrate to your credit union and a member needs to borrow a microloan, they get passed via SSO to a fully digital application flow that's white labeled with your branding. And because we integrate to your core processor, it turns out that we can pre-fill the information that we need to underwrite that member as they're going through the application.
So I'm going to stop there for a second. A couple things you hear there. Integrated to core. So your core banking platform, that is critical. And then the fact that it does an SSO to this experience means you don't need a digital banking integration. You can just include a single sign-on link to bring you out to this. And that makes the barrier to launching so much easier, because we know that that's where the hardest part is, typically, is getting a digital banking provider to integrate. And with a lot of the newer ones that just allow SSO links or we'll say drawers, that makes it so much easier and a quicker time to market.
So when they come to apply for a microloan, we get the data that we need, we bump it up against your risk tolerance, and then we show the member the microloans that they qualify for that day based on your risk tolerance. The member chooses the microloan that suits their need best. They review the terms and conditions or the till box. They can look at it in English or in Spanish if they prefer. And once they've decided that this is the solution that they need, they can electronically sign that loan agreement. And because we're integrated to the core, we can book it to the core and disperse the funds to the member that day. That is the power of a digitally delivered microloan solution for underserved borrowers.
Isn't that just incredible? So I'm going to drop this down. But so Metro Credit Union just announced that they're launching this. Interestingly enough, I saw that the branding on that was GFA, which is right outside of my area as well, in the Gardner area. And so it seems like that they might be live on that already. But it's so cool because, like, you could see in the video that it provides the experience right within your brand. So you're making yourself front and center for these members, and that helps make them, stickier. It increases wallet share, and it gets them going back to you and not to someone like Upstart. So there's different options for everyone, but I thought this was so cool. And so what they talk about in the launch is that they're using it to help retain the members that they already have. So you have members like me back in 2006 that were looking for services like this and going to these scrupulous payday lenders. And falling victim to probably scams or getting yourself in a financial mess. Places like Metro are using a company like Salus to contain you within the same banking ecosystem. So you're not going out to a scrupulous lender. You're keeping it right within your bank, which is regulated and has all the appropriate risks and controls, and can provide you what should be a clean, safe financial services experience. So they recognize that there are a lot of blue collar people that are working paycheck to paycheck. And these people are going other places for their small dollar needs, and they have an ability through this fintech partnership to be able to retain them within their company. And I think that's awesome. And it also helps, like, with their, I'm going to say, like, so corporate social responsibility. Like, now you're using your role as a corporate citizen to help the greater good, beyond just, well, we're going to take your money and we're going to have an interest rate and we're going to give you loans and deposits. And there's so much more that financial institutions can be doing that. And it's so clear that Metro gets it. And they're looking for ways to use their role as a corporate citizen to go above and beyond that and provide people the financial stability and alternatives to these high cost payday loans. And of course they can see, I'm not going to say the future, but like the now, and that this is what the right clientele is demanding and the members that they need to attract and continue to retain. This is the kind of experience that they're looking for. And if they don't stay within Metro, they're going somewhere like Upstart or one of the other lenders. They do say, and I'm trying to see if it's in this press release here or if it was in another article, they do say that they're going to start including financial wellness coaching, which I think is like amazing and would be so helpful, and it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. I feel if anyone can do it right, it'll be them. They're pretty wonderful, and I don't know how they do it all. They seem to do it all. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the executive team and the CEO over there. And you can tell that they stay laser focused, and they have such a forward thinking and the ability to create action. A lot of us can be idea people, and it's so easy to have all these great ideas, but they're bringing these things to life and don't take excuses of like, oh, we're so busy, we can't do that, or oh, like I hate hearing that from institutions on like, oh, we can't do that, we're in the middle of a conversion, we're in the middle of this. There's never a good time. There's never a good time. So the fact that they're able to prioritize these things and make it happen, it's so incredible. It reminds me of, so I'm going to tell a little story. Back in 2017, I had the pleasure of speaking at Harvard University at their WeCode Conference, Women Engineers in Coding. And I was on this panel, which was called A Foray into Fintech. And I don't know how I landed there. I was certainly nowhere near the smartest one in the room. The kids, the students that were at the conference were like, they were quite up and comers and put everything in my head to shame. But I was able to offer some insights on what we were doing in the fintech world. And, at that time, the progression of Bitcoin and blockchain and all that. But I spoke on a panel with this woman named Lauren who worked at a company called Tala. And she just brought so much incredible perspective. Her background was in data science, so she was absolutely the right person to be in the room. But she talked about, and I'm going to bring up a little bit about Tala just to show you guys, but they were like an international platform that was like a fintech startup, and they were providing microloans all over the world. And when I say microloans, here we're talking about like $400. She was talking about $5. For someone in like Uganda to borrow $5 that could launch a business for weaving baskets to feed their family for a month. Let that sink in. $5 could help start an entire basket weaving business that could help feed someone's family for a month. That just like blew my mind when she said that. And it really helps put into perspective, I'm going to say the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Central Mass world that I live in, and how we get to often think so narrowly about what it means based on our perceived world experiences, our own individual experiences in our community, our families, our social networks, whether that's physical or digital. And all these different things shape our thoughts and perceptions. And so when she said microloan, of course I'm thinking, $200, $400. And whenever she said $500, like that blew my mind. And I was like, wow, something like that can make such a huge difference in the world. $5. And it made me think of, I went to school at Clark University in Worcester, and we were doing a project and we started talking about assumptions. So what were the assumptions? And, they would be like, oh, well, the assumption is you have, let's say like a certain degree or access to an operational plant and, a larger team to be able to scale. And then the instructor would bring us back and like, okay, but before you even got to that, you went through 5 things in your head that you just assumed you had access to. You assumed you had access to running water. You assumed you had access to electricity. You assumed you had access to Wi-Fi and internet. And I was like, holy crap. There are places doing startups all over the world that those are their basics that they don't even think about. And I'm going to pull this up, but it was just like, so now I kind of try to bring that to things that I think of when I'm like, the basic assumptions, you can't discount them. Let's pull up the Tala link. But it's so interesting. And I'm sure, we have bankers tuning in from all over the country. Shout out to the replay crew. If you are not tuning in live this morning with the rest of us and you are tuning in at the gym or in the car on your ride home or on the train or after you put your kids to bed, thank you for joining. We love the replay crew. But I'd love to hear where everyone's tuning in from, because like I was talking yesterday about, or the day before, about ag lending, like these are things that don't even cross my mind because it's not the world that I live in. And there are so many bankers out there dealing with different things. And I spoke at a conference once. This is similar. And it was in Miami. And the topic was employee advocacy and building a brand ambassador program that humanized the brand. And oh, thank you, tuning in from New Hampshire. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. That humanized the brand and, help build trust and all that. And just, it was fun, right? And I had two women that had flown from Israel to Miami to hear me and my colleagues speak. And they caught our ear for a couple moments, and it was just so intriguing because they said, like, we're trying to do something similar in Israel, and it's not, the fun, the selfies. We're trying to humanize our brand and create connections because people don't trust banks in Israel. And we're trying to let them know that we're community members just like them, and that they can trust us because we're one of them. And that like blew my mind. Like, so it wasn't about the fun. It wasn't about the, showing off the local coffee shop. It wasn't about promoting a new product. It wasn't like launching a beer collab. This was like creating basic trust. Basic trust, so that people would put money in the bank and feel that it was safe, because they would rather keep it in their homes than trust it with the bank. Isn't that these things just like blow my mind, and it goes to show how like narrow of a world I live in. But anytime I get these moments to just like expand and learn, it fills me up. And I hope that you guys take those moments too, because it's just so cool. So this is just a little snapshot of Tala. Rooted in data, driven by vision, making financial services smarter, faster, and more accessible worldwide. So this was in I don't know when they launched, but this was in 2017 that I had met her, and they were already in production. So the stuff that we talk about today with Upstart and Salus sound new and fun and fresh. But this is something that was well underway almost 10 years ago. And so, like, look, you can see that using billions of data points from over a decade of customer relationships to underwrite millions of customers who have never interacted with a formal banking system. So building your credit score based on other data points. And I say credit score loosely, like we're not talking like a FICO. We're just talking like maybe like a risk-based score. Look at this. The first and only platform to combine the intelligence of a credit bureau, the payments execution of a fintech, and the relationship expertise of a bank into one integrated solution. Yeah, so here, this is what we're talking about in these other countries. This is so cool. 3 continents and yeah. Unlock. Okay. I just love this. And the fact that we have like now lenders in our area that are providing this kind of access to consumers, I just think that's so incredible. What do you guys think? Like, I'd be interested in if your bank offers this. Have you working with like a fintech or building something yourself that have you been dabbling in micro lending? Have you been doing it for a while? Is it something you're considering? Is it on your strategic plan for this year? It definitely hits a lot of touch points, targeting the, right member demographic, being a socially responsible corporate citizen, helping with financial literacy. Sorry, hold on. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. Okay. If you are a CRA reviewed bank, it helps with your CRA credits. It's just, there's so much, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. Metro said that they're starting with a small pilot group. It looked to be, and I can't confirm this, but it looked to be like a targeted demographic of their membership. I wonder if they or anyone started with a pilot group of their employees or team members or did a friends and family wave. I'm sure a lot of us or a lot of people that work in financial institutions would benefit from some type of lending like this. We look back at 2006 Carrie, and I would have been prime for this. And when you talk about financial literacy and coming up with solutions, that starts at home. Before you can help your customers and your members, it definitely needs to start with your team. And so many places, we're definitely going to talk about this in another episode. I'm going to write this down. I think I did it another day. You got to educate your staff. And what are you and your teams doing to provide basic financial literacy skills to your staff? And I remember working with someone that was like, I don't know how to refer a mortgage because I've never had to go through the process. Fair. Like, fair. I don't think I knew much about it. Like, I knew basics. I could do a loan to value calculation. I knew that there was a home inspection and an appraisal, but until you've gone through the gravity of something like that or helped someone through it, it's really hard. And so if there was a way for us to, as a corporation, as a financial institution, help our team members with financial literacy. I was talking with one individual, and he would call out of work sometimes because he didn't have money for gas to get to the branch. So you could tell if it was like the day before payday and he called out, was because there was no gas. And it took us a while to figure that out and, try to find out what we could do to help. But that's sad's not even the right word. It's deflating. It's, we can do better. I'd love if you're tuning in and your bank has a program that you'd like to share or even come on. I'm happy to have a guest at some point. We're getting the website up and running, so you can message me at some point. But feel free to DM me at BankSmartCarrie or at BankSmartStudio on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to chat and, would love to hear about if anyone wants to share what kind of financial literacy program that they have for their team members. And it doesn't have to be anything super or wild or crazy, but the fact that people might be out there doing it is just so incredible. Right? I like that heals my heart for my 22-year-old me because I needed that. And there was no one there to teach it. And I wish that the bank I was working at the time had something like that. And that might have like made a whole world of difference. So if there's something that I can do in my next chapter, it's definitely going to be able to bring this kind of financial literacy to those in positions that need it. And that would just feel wonderful. I do have one more topic before we move on. How's everyone doing? If you haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you guys for that. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Central Mass. Like I said, I have the window open. We are getting a little bit warmer. Let's check the temp. A lot of places. So like I'm in Central Mass. Most banks were closed Monday for the big snowstorm, the nor'easter, blizzard, whatever we want to call it. Some closed Tuesday or did a late open Tuesday, but there are some down the Cape. Shout out to my Cape Cod friends that are still closed today. Isn't that wild? So like if you've been put into disaster recovery or business continuity mode, God bless you. Like that, this is what you train for every year when you do your BCP tabletop. You got this. So it says right now it's 35 degrees, but it feels like 50. Like I didn't wear a jacket today and I have the window open and it just feels wonderful. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine those that are, there was like 30 inches of snow at some place and down like South Shore in the Cape area. And oh my gosh, just digging out of that, like the facilities teams, you guys are working overtime. Those that are covering other branches or just trying to get your power back on. Oh my God, we're thinking about you. This seems like easy stuff here in Massachusetts. And I know if it hits down south, you had some times earlier this season that were equally as debilitating with your 2 to 3 inches. We do not discount that. We feel it too. It's tough. So cool. This last article, it's again in Massachusetts based news, but it's something that we can't look past because it's happening more and more. And so we talked a couple episodes ago about the importance of fraud education with our members and how to continuously get this in front of people and make sure that they don't fall victim to it. So this one was, the title is Over $22,000 Stolen from Mass Resident in Fake Bank of America Sting Operation. And now you could take the words Bank of America out and replace any one of us, any bank, any credit union, because this could happen to any of us. And it so quickly can be on the news. So all my marketing and PR and communication peeps out there, I hope you have a playbook for this. And if you don't, let's start writing one because this could be you and this could happen anytime. And it's not necessarily the fault of the organization, but how quick consumers are to point fingers. So I'll read a little bit. A Massachusetts resident recently lost over $22,000 when they were coerced into participating in a fake sting operation at their local Bank of America. According to Norwood Police, the victim was contacted by someone posing as a Bank of America fraud investigator. Does this sound familiar? The victim was instructed to withdraw $10,000 in cash, which a courier would then collect to purportedly check for fingerprints of complicit bank employees. Following the initial pickup, the scammers then asked the victim to take out another $12,000 the following day. On the third day, the victim was told to go to a Bank of America branch in Denham. However, a teller sensed something was wrong. Thank you, teller. You are a lifesaver. This is what your training, the culmination of all your fraud bulletins and your training led up to. You did it. You, like a million gold stars for you because, oh my goodness. The teller said something was wrong, questioned the victim, identified the transaction as a scam, and then called police. Please have these conversations with your older family members and share this post. These crimes can be devastating to older citizens, and we need to work together to stop them. So this person was out 10,000 in cash, is 12,000. So yeah, $22,000 in 2 transactions. So you can imagine that transaction 1 didn't trigger a CTR because it was just at the 10,000 limit. The 12,000 would have triggered a CTR. Depending on your monitoring tools, it may have said, hey, this person was just in taking out another large dollar amount. but you could tell they went to different branches. Thankfully, the third person caught it. It was a scam that this person didn't lose more money. But now the headline is how awful, Bank of America let them fall victim to this. Now, can you imagine, and I'm not in any of these local Dedham or Needham Facebook groups, but could you imagine what's running rampant? Like people reposting this or saying, oh my gosh, I hate that branch, or they should have done something better, or like all this stuff. If that was a local community bank, we're just going to say Bank of America can weather this storm. All right, this is nothing compared. But if you're a local community bank or credit union, this can be devastating to your reputation. And not just the one single story, because this does happen, but the legs that it takes on social. So we're going to be seeing this more. I want you to think of two things. One, how you can continue to bring these scams front and center. So obviously this was one that said, don't trust the person at the bank. We're conducting a sting operation. Don't lead them to believe anything's going on. And they're probably heavily coached. So one, how do we educate people that if someone does that, it's not real? And then two, how do we then manage the PR crisis that comes afterwards? So having a playbook of what to say, what not to say. My teams have always done this, and it's so helpful to be able to say, like, okay, if this kind of happens, here's a template on what we say, talking points for what the branch can say or not say. No comment is never a good response. You want to have key points. And then not just like ramping up internal questioning, but making sure your teams are prepared to ask these questions. I'm just going to say I'm sure that the first two people probably asked the right questions, and the person withdrawing had so many answers on what was happening. And of course, this is fine. And like I've heard before, I'm buying a car for my son in cash. Sure you are. Oh, the construction person needs $45,000 in cash. Of course they do. Like, that's crazy. So we're going to give the first two bankers the benefit of the doubt that they asked all the right questions. Thankfully, the third one really got them to see that it was a scam. Hopefully that was the case, and that the other ones did their due diligence. But think about it, because it's so easy that this could happen at your institution. And make sure, you keep it forefront with your team members on, I'm saying any large cash transactions, people don't take this much cash out anymore. And I know that I'm going to get like people dropping in the comments of like, well, I have a laundromat business that takes a large amount of cash out. And like that feels more regular and predictable. You can build up like a cadence, and like if it feels more regular. Are there other instances where people take large? Sure. People go to the auction, they buy cars, they need cash. I get it. But it comes back to knowing your customer and knowing your member. And if this person doesn't typically take cash out or deal in large volumes of cash, and then one day that they have to, there's something wrong. There should be like maybe some sort of like flag on the profile that if it goes to happen again, the second one I would have hoped would have gotten caught. But just something to think about. Yeah. Yeah. Cause that, like, you wonder who ends up taking this loss, the member. In the last couple years, I saw a lot of Bitcoin scams where they were getting the money and being instructed to put it into a Bitcoin ATM nearby. And although love us some Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, right? No one is, the IRS is not asking you to take out $10,000 and put it into a Bitcoin ATM or get gift cards for Ulta Beauty. Like it's just not happening. So developing different tools on the front end, developing as part of, maybe it's part of your disaster recovery or BCP plan on what happens if this does happen. How do you educate your teams on what to say, what not to say? Because this is only going to get more frequent, more sophisticated. Yeah, and the scams are going to change too. Think about like what we were looking at like 10 years ago for scams. It was like the typical like FedEx a check to the manager or the business manager of the bank. And anytime we got in a FedEx check, it was like, woo, we caught something. Oh, yeah, okay, that was like staring you in the face. Of course you caught it. Or the Western Union scam, if they took money out to go to Western Union. Again, working in like a more blue collar town with a diverse ethnic population, there was a lot of Western Union transactions. So it was hard to kind of separate that. But again, knowing your customers, knowing your members really helps make all the difference. Give me 1 second. We're going to put a little pause on this for boop, boop. Okay, cool. We're back. Awesome. So was today fun or was today fun? I think it was fun. I had a great time. I don't want to overwhelm you with all my like crazy ideas, but I just want to say like not yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was my first day that I had a list of things to do for like BankSmart Studio. Because usually like as I crank things out, I like just do it, but I actually had like a running list. And I have a couple more things to complete, but like I just feel like we're cranking here, people. This is so fun, and I'm so happy that you guys are along for this ride with me and joining. And it just makes me so happy, and I'm having such a fun time with it. And if there's any topics you want to talk about, throw them in the chat. If there's any interesting articles or trends that you're seeing, would love to share and talk about them. I'm trying to expand out of my blonde hair, blue eyes, Central Mass world and share things that are relevant to bankers coast to coast. And I hope that shines through, but sometimes I am stuck in my little bubble. I do have some stuff for next week. Next week is the GAC conference, the Governmental Affairs for Credit Unions. So we're hoping some interesting stuff will come out of that. A lot of you will be down in DC for that conference. I will not be there. I have never been, but I do love watching from the sidelines. So we'll have a recap of everything going on. And I do have some interesting promotions that I have picked up from some banks outside of my market that are doing some fun things. So we're going to share those as well. All right, everyone. Again, this is CarrieAnne Cormier here at the Carrie Show on BankSmart Studio. Be sure to like and subscribe, and of course, stay social because we're building this out loud and having a lot of fun. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.